Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gorecom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today to discuss some pretty big copper news, Peter Hawley, President and CEO of Fabled Copper, trades in Canada under FABL. For those new to the story, you're probably here for one big reason. The world needs copper. Global copper consumption is outstripping supply. Right now, demand for copper is projected to rise about 5% per year. Supply is projected to increase by 2.3%. Anytime you have a gap like that, the world needs copper. Prices are going up. Why is it happening? Well, a new electric vehicle alone needs 80 kilos of copper compared with just 23 kilos in the traditional internal combustion engine that we're all used to. So as you can imagine, Fabled is exploring high-level and high-grade copper resources in British Columbia. The main focus is their Musquat property, which is spectacular. It's got high-grade mining history containing a minimum of 22 documented copper occurrences, of which 4 are defined deposits with historical reserves and resources. Today's press release, Lady Luck on the Neil claim reports high-grade copper, including 14.3%. Peter's going to tell us what that means, how crazy it is. Over 4.6 meters. Peter, my friend, welcome back.
Thanks, George. And yes, Lady Luck is certainly well named. That's for sure.
Well, Lady Luck has come through right now. So before we get to some of these numbers, I always ask it, layman terms. First of all, generally speaking, how happy are you with these results?
Oh, I'm on a scale of 1 to 10. I'm probably about a 9.9. I mean, it's pretty hard to do more than that, George. And the neat thing about it, people that are will read the press release or look at it, is you have to remember this is over a vertical distance of 444 meters. Now they sampled, from the lower level, 1,300 meters or so, going up to 1,700 meters plus, going upwards and on the structure, on the vein unit, and sampling on the way up. Now think of it the other way around, George. Think of you're on a flat piece of ground, and you were able to sample this thing below you for 444 meters. That's over a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, it's 1,500 feet, 150 stories.
Yeah. So in this case, you can see it going up, right? When you're on the ground, you can't see it below you, but we know it goes 444 meters. And what's really also interesting in this is that, we have all these copper occurrences, and, some are good or some are bad. And as you know, well, I shouldn't say bad, maybe not enough work done on them. And then there's some that are deposits, and some have been developed, and et cetera, et cetera. So in my personal ranking of 20 plus copper occurrences, Lady Luck, from historically what I read about it, and believe me, the last person or persons that were on Lady Luck was about 1968.
Yeah, so now this is fresh information. By the way, I want to go through some of these numbers. 10 of the samples were greater than 1% copper, 5 were greater than 5%, 5 were greater than 10%, and 2 were greater than 20%. So overall, it's 14.3%, overall, you included 14.3% of that. How big are these numbers so the rest of us can understand relative to your peers and other people in the area? How fantastic are those numbers?
Yeah, I've been trying to explain to people about that, George. So, and it's a math game because you're using percent. It's not in, we're not talking pounds, or we're not talking ounces or whatever. So what you have to remember is 1% copper per ton is equivalent of 22.4 or 22.2 pounds. Okay.
Right.
You want to find out what the value of 1% copper is. Take 22.2 pounds and multiply it by the price of copper.
Let's say 450. And even if we use 22 even as a number, basically looking at, $100 per ton.
Yeah. So that's 1%.
Now, a lot of people may think $100 per ton, that's not a lot.
Well,
what do you tell them? Because The layman may think.
$100 per ton. What's that? That's put it in a different metal. That would be the equivalent of about 4.5 ounces of silver at today's prices.
Right.
I think that's pretty interesting. But I'm not after 1% copper. So what I'm trying to say is, you made a
No, because you've got 5% copper, 10%, 20%. That we're just talking about 1%. Just to
let's say 1% is worth $100. Let's talk about 10%. Just easy math. So what's 10% worth?
$1,000 per ton.
I'd love that.
So from here, and explain to people that these weren't drill results yet. These were surface samples.
Yes, they are.
But explain why that's really important, because you got to start with surface samples first.
Well, the thing is, first of all, we're working, and you can see some of the photos, and I think there's one photo you have there.
Let me share my screen here, my friend.
Yeah, it's the 4.6 meters of 16+% copper.
All right, so let me just scroll to the top of these images here. Which one you want me to?
We can just work our way down to the first one. We can talk about that if you want.
So this is the first one right here.
Slide number 4, George.
There you go. Yeah. Look at that. That's vertical.
Yeah. So there's the base, one of the lower areas, at a little over 1,400 meters. So 1.4 kilometers vertically. And there's the guys at the base of the structure sticking out of the talus. And guaranteed they've already sampled it below that. So below that rubble, that vein exists. But anyways, they sample it, and of course 20.2% copper. Now what in part of the description we give that we talk about the what the rock looks like. And if you go to the next slide, George, this is a close-up. And that's actually one I took that in the field. I carry this great big friggin' magnifying glass with me. And all these other guys pull out their little loops to look at the rock, and I pull out this great big thing because it's so powerful. So that's the actual sample with a magnifying glass over it to amplify it, to show the extent of the mineralization. And as you can see, it's pretty well pure metal and over 20% copper. So very happy about that.
Yeah, a lot of us, when we look at that, are just kind of looking at a rock. What is that sticks out of that? Is that that copper? Obviously, it's that copper color and the amount that's in there.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's chalcopyrite. But what we're seeing the high copper minerals. We're seeing chalcopyrite. We're seeing bornite. We're seeing azurite. We're seeing malachite. And if we look at the next area where they sampled, George, on the next slide, you'll see all this green stuff.
And what's amazing here is this is right out in the open.
Yeah.
We never see things like this. Usually it's someone's trying to show us something they pulled out of underground.
Yeah. No, this is out in the open and exposed because there's no trees or anything else. So it's very visual. Well, you can see this. And we use actually see them when they look like a monocular. And I guess you hone in on all the rest of the stuff. Well, at the base of the hill is like they use in golf, a range scope, one-eye telescope. And it'll tell you, the distance to your ball and the angle and all this other stuff. So we had some of those in the field. And what the guys would do from the base of the area that they're going to climb is they would look up and they'd be able to visually see the sulfides because there's so much. And of course, there's no trees hiding it and it's bright green. So it's very easy to see. They can tell the distance from where they are at the bottom to up there in a straight line, say 100 meters or 400 meters, and then they can tell the pitch because there's a certain pitch you just can't climb anymore. After 45 degrees, you're not going to go up anymore. You're just going to slide back down in the scree and everything else.
But that's where drones came into play, right?
That's right. And it's funny you brought that up, George, because as I mentioned before in a previous interview, with us playing with our drones and taking the old data from underground and creating a wire frame and then going to put it into the drone work on surface and create this targeting effort for 2022 drilling. The where we've digitized most of the underground work and we're creating the shells, so we have to take the mine grid and tie it into a real life grid like you see in Google Earth. So when I was there, we did 6 drone surveys, and one of the drone surveys we put the big base station in, which directs the drone and also gives it a coordinate. So this base station we put at the portal where I happen to re-enter the mine. And why I'm saying this is the accuracy of the base station is 1 to 3 centimeters, George.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So we know exactly where they are.
Yeah.
So here's the guys again, again, going up the scree, sampling vertically 1764 meters above sea level.
And by the way, 16.5% here. And I remiss if I didn't mention the previous one, 26.1% copper. I mean, these are phenomenal numbers, Peter.
Yeah, it's you're getting to the point where you can't put much more copper in the rock, to tell you the truth, George. But the next slide really tells the whole story, I think. And I really put it off. These are pictures of George and Ray. Ray Grenier I've known for years, and George Giga actually.
That's an incredible shot, man.
Yeah, and so what's really cool with this shot, you can see the width of this thing sticking out, and you can see the pitch of the hill going down, how steep it is. But if you look way down at the bottom, George, you'll see a helicopter.
You can see it right there for anybody who's missing it.
Yeah, that's where they landed. And then they scrambled all the way up there, sampling all the way up. So, you hear the expression, boots on the ground, and not a lot of people do that anymore because first, there's not a lot of people can or will do it. And number two, it's physically, you have to be in great shape, and George and Ray are. But it's the only way. If you want to find out this stuff, that's the only way to do it. One of the tricks we have is by using the drones and flying around the drones, we're able to see this material. And as such, we know the XYZ from the drone of where this is in the third dimension. And so the guys can plot out their course the next day for the helicopter, drop them off so they can go and see this. So this is Ray and George, that's the first time since 1968 someone's been up there doing stuff. And again,
we have the NDP government of British Columbia to thank because they brought in all those special royalties and taxes that made, and that's why this fantastic copper project at the end of the day was kind of abandoned, right? It just became it just became unviable.
Yeah, no, that pretty well sums it up, George. So and all of these, like I said, have not been drilled. They're open at strike. They're open at depth, and needless to say, the ranking in this one, it certainly changes from my opinion. I thought, okay, we're going to go and look at the Lady Luck and looking at the past data from 1968, which wasn't a lot. And the guys come back, and then finally we start seeing these results coming in. And, how can you not want to go back and this year to reevaluate this in greater detail?
Hey, Peter, devil's advocate. How do you end up drilling here for those of us who are not experts? If it's hard enough just to kind of get up here on this angle to chip samples and to take samples, explain to people at home how you end up drilling this. How do you end up getting this, getting the copper out?
Yep. Yeah, and it's too bad I didn't know you were going to ask me that question, George, because I would show you a picture that I took on the property I call an eagle's nest drill platform. Is as part of the drilling program. Say we want to drill a wooden platform. It'll be slung in by helicopter along with a bunch of timber. It will be positioned where you want to collar the drill. It will be brought to a level horizon, and then timber will be put underneath it to stabilize it, to make it level. And then on top of that structure, after it's all created, the helicopter will then take the drill in 3 pieces and piece by piece fly it in, set it down on top of that platform, set, bring in the second piece, that drops right into place. They bolt that together. The third piece comes in. Now the drill rods come in, and away you.
It almost sounds like until we get your beat feedback, it sounds like watching those houses being built in Malibu, right on the cliffs.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this cliff is not going to wash away or slide down the hill, I don't think. So it can be done. Our main target this year, as we'll talk about later on during the year's results will come out, it would be the Davis Key area. And where we'll be drilling there is fairly flat terrain, George. So high altitude technical challenge. What you're looking at there is a pretty extreme case. But, and I had, and one thing I'll bring up during this interview, I had someone send me an interview, or a shareholder send me a note. And he said, gee, you're up there pretty high. Is that, does that cause problems for trying to develop something or do something with it down the road?
Sure. Well, it seems like a logical question from a layman.
Yeah. But, you think about it. We started, George and the boys started at 1,600 meters above sea level sampling. So that's 1.6 kilometers. That's a mile. What do they call Denver, Colorado? Mile High City. That's the same altitude as Denver. I was down in Caravoca and a few of the other mines that Pan America Silver has down in Peru. I was up at 4,200 meters. And
I guess it's the incline that most people think about more than the altitude.
4,200 meters with operating. Yeah, that's right. And incline, you can deal with it. It's very easy to deal with. You can go in at the bottom where it's nice and flat and then work your way up.
Well, Peter, that's why we pay you the big bucks. That's why guys like us and the shareholders aren't running the company. Because we're having a little bit of technical difficulty, let's kind of wrap it up here with an encompassing message from you. We know that's a 9.95 out of 10 for you. What happens next, and what should we be expecting?
Well, the way I've tried or I'm going to try to educate the public, so to speak, because we have a lot to talk about, a lot of occurrences. So I'm going to start from the north and work south. So the first property we'll talk about will be what we refer to as the Neil property. And then the Neil property has multiple copper occurrences. So in this case, it's the first of the Neil property. I'm starting at the southern part of the Neil property and Lady Luck. And as we mentioned, Lady Luck was very nice to us. The next one that will be reported will be just north of the Lady Luck, and that's called MAC, M-A-C. As people will see, it probably should be called the Big Mac. But,
let's rename it.
Yeah, and people, I think they'll find that quite interesting. And again, this was a low-ranking priority copper occurrence, never visited by anybody else since mid-60s, 1960s. And we were on it and doing our due diligence on it, George. So we will inform the public, on a timely basis, every week or during the 2021 season. And also as we take the historical data and mesh it all together in these great kind of Star Wars type three-dimensional images that we can rotate, we'll be showing the public of, all these neat things at a resolution of 1 to 3 centimeters.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. But
no, it is. I'm telling you, it's hard to believe, George. It's hard to believe.
Peter, congrats to you and the team on some daredevil sample results. Unbelievable. And like you said, I know, we were just on 7-8 days ago. We're back again. So it seems like Fabled is going to be really busy for the foreseeable future. And the timing couldn't be better because copper, like I already made the case at the outset, it isn't going anywhere. We're going to need it. We're going to need it. We're going to need a lot of it. And you're in the right place at the right time. Thanks for joining us, my friend. Continued success.
Okay, be well, George.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform to Peter Hawley. President and CEO at Fabled Copper, trades in Canada under FABL. If you believe in the future of copper and you love mining-friendly jurisdictions like Canada and British Columbia, then you got to take a serious, strong look at Fabled. 2 ways to do that. Look at their profile page on Agoracom, and then from there, get over to the Fabled Copper website to do your deep dive due diligence. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. See you next time.
Hey guys, this video is over, but don't forget to help your company by liking it and even leaving a comment below. And then don't forget to help yourself by subscribing to our channel and never missing another great Agoracom small cap video.